everybody, in this video I'm going to be going over the 3 tank classes available on an Everquest pop lock server named Agnarr. All 3 classes are strong here, but there are several things that set them apart from each other. This area was great for class identity, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to focus on 3 facets of each class by looking at each class's defense, its aggro capabilities, and its utility, followed by a tips and tricks section for people interested in playing the class. Warriors are the only tank class that gets an innate 5% reduction in damage taken. This is due to the fact that Everquest combat is based off of the roll of a d20, otherwise known as damage interval. For Warriors, a mob can never get a perfect d20 roll, and it is the only tank class that has this passive benefit. Warrior also has higher soft cap and return after soft cap values for armor class. This is why Warrior wearing the same gear as a Shadowknight or a Paladin will have a higher armor class. In Everquest, armor class soft caps mean you get the whole value of your armor piece up to the soft cap. And then after that, you get whatever your return after soft cap value is. So in the case of Warriors, you get all your armor class up to 440 AC, and then after that, you get 35% of every point of AC. Stated more simply, if you put on a 100 armor class item, you'd see 35 AC of that reflected on your stat sheet. Warriors also have higher innate dodge, riposte, and parry active mitigation skills, making them the best raw damage mitigators on the server. Warrior aggro is based heavily on gearing. Every class gets aggro generated from their weapon swings, and Warriors get access to class-only threat augments and weapons that give threat bonuses to help Warriors passively keep threat easier. Most of these weapons have increased proc rates as well, which means a fully geared Warrior will proc threat like crazy. Warriors also get access to threat over timeline with Insight and Berate. These skills are a 30-second cooldown with a 60-second duration, and they are cooldown linked so you can't press them at the same time. However, if you cast Insight and then wait 30 seconds, you can cast Berate and both of them will be running at the same time, which gives more threat. Warriors get access to the Taunt skill just like Paladins and Shadowknights, but Warriors also get an area Taunt AA usable every 10 minutes with a 40-foot range that is no fail, and it puts you 100 points of hate above anyone else who has aggro. Because Warrior is a pure style tank, they don't get a massive amount of utility like the other tanks, but they still get some cool stuff that sets them apart. Warriors get more offensive AA and are not limited to sword and shield or two-hander like Paladin and Shadowknight, so their deal wheel damage is generally higher than Knight classes. Warriors also get access to the Slash Shield ability, which allows you to take 50% of the damage being taken by your target for 48 seconds with the AA extension purchased. They also get access to the War Cry ability every 36 minutes, which makes your whole party immune to fear for 30 seconds, which is pretty fantastic in raid content. Warriors also get DPS cooldowns in Mighty Strike and Rampage. Mighty Strike makes all your hits critical hits and lasts 30 seconds. Rampage is usable once every 7 minutes and allows you to hit every creature within a 40-foot radius of you with a single combat round. Taunt Sight is a method of quickly taking threat and getting a decent threat lead. You will taunt the mob, putting you at the top of the threat list, and then immediately use Insight to add a large amount of threat to give you a good lead. Mighty Strike makes all your skills critical hit, so if you use Rampage, it will make that critical hit as well. When you're using Slash Shield, you will actually take 75% of the damage, or 25% more than the mob is even doing, versus 50% if you are wearing a physical shield. Furious is a lifesaver. If you feel as though you're about to die, use it. If you're pulling a high spike damage mob, use it on pull positioning. You should have separate bandoliers for non-aggro weapons so you don't pull from other tanks. Shields are not affected by soft caps, so any AC you get from a shield, that is to include AUGs, is directly applied to your stat sheet. Paladins have a lower armor class soft cap and soft cap return values, but they make up for it with other parts of their kit. For instance, Paladins can cast Divine Aura on themselves every 15 minutes, which lasts about 18 seconds and makes them invulnerable. They also get Lay on Hands, which is a class-defining ability usable every 36 minutes with AAs. Once AA'd, this skill heals you or your target to full health, as well as giving you or your target a heal over time buff for 36 seconds, healing you for 14,000 hit points every tick, or essentially a full heal every 6 seconds for the duration. It's an incredibly powerful ability that is reset when you die, so it can be used again in the event of a raid wipe. Paladins also get favorable stacking with their self buff Aura of the Crusader, which adds around 350 extra hit points, which means Paladins have the highest max hit points on this server. Couple that with the fact that Paladins don't need any offensive heroic stats, so they're free to stack more defensive stats, and the Paladin is a very powerful mitigation picture. Paladins rely heavily on spells that generate aggro. Most of this is accomplished via a series of fast casting low mana stuns. Because of this, Paladins have a pretty easy time with multi-target threat generation since they can tab target around, rotating stuns, and generate a significant amount of threat from a range. While not as strong as stun threat, Paladins have a large heal kit that generates threat as well, specifically the group heal spell Wave of Mar and the single target heals. Utility is where the Paladin really shines. They are one of 3 classes that get the ability to resurrect in this era, with the other 2 being Cleric and Necromancer. Paladins also get the strongest and most reliable root in this era with Shackles of Agnarr. This root is a 0.75 second cast and instant recast, and although not officially confirmed, this root does not seem to have a break check outside of direct damage. Paladins also get a significant healing kit with several single target heals that are much stronger than most hybrids, as well as a group heal spell cooldown and a group heal AA cooldown. They also get a heal over time spell that is about half as strong as the clerics, as well as being able to cure themselves or their group of diseases, poisons, and curses. Paladins are extremely strong against undead as well, with the Slay Undead passive proc, doing a massive amount of damage to undead targets, and also getting access to undead direct damage spells. Additionally, as a knight, Paladins are immune to fear once you have the AA's purchase, which makes them and Shadowknights the only classes on the server with this passive immunity. As a knight, Paladins also get mounting along with Shadowknights, instant mounting, meaning there is no cast time for you to mount up. Lastly, Paladins get Brel's Stalwart Shield buff, which is the highest hit point buff in this buff line on Agnarr, so it's requested frequently by all tanks. A Paladin's strength is as a ramp tank and an off tank, and while they can also main tank, their kit gives them greater flexibility than a warrior filling those roles. For instance, the Paladin can Divine Aura themselves to pull raid mobs and take the rampage damage. For undergeared Paladins, you can also get access to a weapon called Divine Hammer of Consternation that allows you to proc Divine Aura, essentially negating the rampage mechanic on raid mobs. Paladins are very good at recovery if the main tank dies as well. If the main tank goes down, you can cast Lay on Hands on yourself, taunt the boss, and give the raid 36 seconds to recover without you needing to be healed. It's also very beneficial to have your Resurrect spell memmed and help res recover people who have died accidentally during the fight. Shadowknights are similar in defensive picture to Paladins in that both are knights and they share soft cap values for armor class. Shadowknights, however, have a number of ways to mitigate damage done, starting with their life tap proc buff and their best in slot cudgel from Plane of Time that also has a life tap proc. Then you add their castable life tap proc on top of that, and they have a decent amount of near passive incoming healing from life taps. To add to the life tap capabilities bucket, they also get a discipline called Leech Curse that lasts for 24 seconds and is usable every 1 hour and 7 minutes, which makes 100% of the damage you do by melee attacks heal you. Then your other discipline, Unholy Aura, increases the values of your life tap spells by 100%, which allows you to cast 800 to 1000 hit point life taps for a 5-minute duration and a 36-minute recast on that skill. These life taps can also critically heal, which means even more healing. To top this off, they also have access to Harm Shield, which is a Divine Aura-like ability granting invulnerability similar to the Paladin, but usable every 10 minutes instead of every 15 minutes like the Paladin. Shadowknights, like Paladins, also rely heavily on spells for aggro generation. The Darkness line of spells is a damage over time snare that has an aggressive aggro rating, meaning you can essentially spam Dooming Darkness and generate a massive amount of threat. Shadowknights also get several dot spells like Blood of Hate, Ignite Blood, and Assistol that produce a significant amount of threat as well. They also get the Terror line, which is an instant cast threat specific spell. Shadowknights, like Paladins, are excellent at multi-target threat management. They also get Harm Touch as their class defining ability, which does a lot of direct damage. This ability is a massive aggro generator for those times you need to establish a giant threat lead, and it's castable every 1 hour and 12 minutes. Shadowknights get a lot of great utility that makes them very versatile characters. They can feign death, which means they have ways to both increase and decrease threat as a tank, and also get out of bad situations fairly easily. They get access to a level 41 pet at level 65, which you can equip with summon pet gear and can function as consistent extra damage or as cannon fodder to help you get away, among other creative ways you can use pets. Shadowknights get access to Summon Corpse for those times where someone died in a weird place and needs help getting their body. Shadowknights, as a knight class, also get instant mounting just like Paladins do, as well as having full fear immunity once the AAs are purchased. They also have the potential to do much higher DPS than Paladin due to their nukes and damage over time spells. Shadowknights can also snare and fear, making their kit pretty robust in virtually any situation. With the help of a pre-nerfed Circlet of Shadow, they can also instant invis themselves. Holding aggro with the Shadowknight can be as easy as spamming Dooming Darkness on your target. You can weave in Assistol and other dots if you want as well. If your group of raid has a lot of tanks already, you can shift to a DPS focus and cast more nukes and dots, and even swap in a two-hander to do more damage. Shadowknights can do respectable DPS with their kit, just make sure you feign death periodically to drop threat if you don't want to have it. Get yourself an Ornate Breastplate early on. It provides a buff called Black Shroud that is not actually available in this era, however you can cast it via the clicky on this breastplate. Circlets of Shadow don't drop anymore, but you can still save up and get them from time to time, so keep your eyes peeled, as instant cast invisibility is pretty awesome. Hopefully this video has given you a decent look at the Warrior, the Paladin, and the Shadowknight classes on the Agnarr server. Each of these classes have their own strengths and weaknesses and are all really fun to play. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe.